Welcome to History and Issues in Psychology for Spring Semester 2026. Before we begin meeting for classes, I want to be very clear about what this course is not, because many of you have already taken courses that look like this on paper, but feel very different in practice. This is not a course organized around neat schools of thought. Wundt's structuralism, followed by the functionalism of James, psychoanalysis here, behaviorism there, humanism later, cognition after that, as if psychology progressed by politely replacing one idea with another. That story is convenient, but it is also largely false. Psychology did not develop in isolated stages. Psychoanalysis and behaviorism grew up side by side, often reacting to the same cultural pressures, debating one another as they attempted to answer very different questions about what it means to be human. As the so-called third force in psychology, humanistic theories did not replace either of them. It challenged both ethically and philosophically, and in doing so reshaped them. Cognitive psychology did not suddenly rediscover the mind. It reintroduced it under new assumptions. In other words, the history of psychology has always progressed less like a clean timeline and more like an ongoing argument between different points of view. The course treats the history of psychology as a series of debates about mind, behavior, selfhood, suffering, responsibility, change. It includes the study of the decisional processes of all sentient beings, not just humans, and what it means to coexist with other animals. And those debates did not begin in a laboratory or clinic. For the first part of the course, we step back in time before psychology became a science, to look at how people tried to understand mental life long before there were scientific journals, diagnostic manuals, or controlled experiments. We'll look at European philosophical traditions, of course, but we will also place them alongside Buddhist, yogic, Taoist, tantric, not as religions, as systemic psychological frameworks. We will also integrate other non-European frames of reference, such as those found among the various indigenous, American, and African views of mind. This will not be done as tokenism, but as an attempt at integration of multiple perspectives on the experience of being human. These non-European traditions developed sophisticated theories of attention, emotion, selfhood, and suffering without appealing to a creator deity or experimental science. And modern psychology is still borrowing from them. One of the central ideas of this course is that psychology did not simply discover minds. Psychology also constructs ways of seeing people and understand mental processes in non-human beings through theories, methods, diagnoses, and treatments. And those constructions have real consequences. To make that concrete, we will spend time examining how human suffering has become defined as mental illness and how these definitions have evolved and been viewed across history. Diagnoses are not timeless facts. They change as our assumptions change. Autism, for example, was once classified as childhood schizophrenia, viewed as untreatable, and understood through a framework of pathology and loss. Today, it is conceptualized as a spectrum with increasing emphasis on support intervention, and accommodation. That shift was not just scientific, it was also conceptual, ethical, and cultural. Throughout this semester, you'll be asked to grapple with questions like what counts as legitimate psychological evidence? What assumptions are embedded in the different theories of mind? Who benefits and who is harmed by particular models of explanation? What kind of authority should psychology have over people's lives? Because this is an upper division seminar, there will be no exams in the traditional sense. Instead, you will write weekly reflections on the readings and the materials for that week. You will end the course with an oral final examination in which you will discuss and defend your understanding of what psychology is and could become. The weekly reflections and final exam should not be simple summaries and regurgitations of the material. They are opportunities to take a position, raise a problem, or question an assumption. These summaries, as well as the final examination, should reflect your thoughts about the past and future of psychology as a discipline. Our class discussions will be driven by your thinking, not by my lecturing. I want to be clear about one final thing before we begin the course. The course is not designed to tell you what the right theory of psychology is. It is designed to help you see what is at stake when psychologists argue about what the mind is, how it should be studied, and what kinds of change are possible. When teaching personality psychology, for example, I use a textbook written by David Funder titled The Personality Puzzle. Dr. Funder argues that the various theories each provide a different piece of the puzzle as we attempt to understand mental processes. They are not competing, complementary views of understanding human nature. By the end of the semester, if you find yourself less certain, more thoughtful about psychology's claims, methods, and limits, then the course will have done its job. When we meet for the first time, we won't be starting from zero. I'm prepared to discuss what assumptions about mind, self, and suffering you already bring with you from your other courses and where you think those assumptions come from. There are no right answers to that question, only better and worse arguments. Our conversation is where this course truly begins. I look forward to meeting all of you. Some of you I already know, some of you I will meet for the first time. This will be a very interesting, challenging, and rewarding course for those of you who embrace it, not as a way of getting your ticket punched, but as a way of developing a deeper understanding of what psychology was, is, and can become. I wish you all a good rest of your vacation, and I will see you all on Tuesday, January 13th, for our first class.